So good morning, everybody. I hope you all brought a nice fresh cup of coffee into our little training here today. We won't be too long, but I think you guys will find this really interesting, and I think it'll be really exciting. So we're here today because we want to discuss cultural competence, and what it means for this new partnership with SNA, Society for New Americans, and how it really affects all of us. So kind of got an outline I'm going to follow here today for you, and if you guys have questions along the way, I'm going to let you know when, and I want this to be casual with us. I want you to be able to talk to me and interact. So go ahead and raise your hands when you guys have questions, and holler if you have an experience you want to share. I gave everybody a handout here, so if you go ahead and take yours, this is going to be something that you can reflect back on and hang on to and really use as a tool anytime you need to. So we're going to go ahead and start off with what is cultural competence. Cultural competence is the ability to interact effectively with people of different cultures and socioeconomic backgrounds. Culture is the beliefs and behaviors that a social group share. Communication with cultural differences can be difficult. So always remain open and accepting without biases. Culture can impact communication between people in a bunch of different ways. So I've given you a couple examples here on that first column on the left that you see. So for one, people can have different beliefs, such as what age is appropriate to marry. We here in America have a certain age that some of us believe, and then maybe if you go out to some southern states, maybe they might have a different age that they think is appropriate, a little bit younger. And even within different religions, you see that. Another one, someone may not be aware of the rules and the community norms that we have, not knowing which line to stand in at a store, or how close to sit to one another. Some of us sit close, some of us need a little more space. And, this can cause stress. I mean, this can be very difficult for somebody in a new situation, not knowing any of these things. There's different parenting styles even that can impact. I mean, many of us see that every day in our own culture. So it's probably very present in the other cultures also. So then we're going to go across to the right-hand side, and there's also like verbal cues that we could see, and nonverbal cues. Verbal cues are the obvious. They're verbal, they're words, they're things that people say. But the nonverbal cues are very important. So language is one of them. That's, pretty common barrier, not being able to know all the words or slang or things like that. And some things just don't even translate well. Some cultures have words that just, they don't know what it means in our language. And then, so some nonverbal cues are like eye contact. For example, some cultures feel that eye contact is disrespectful. They try not to look you right in the eye when they talk to you. And then our culture, it's almost disrespectful not to make eye contact when you're discussing something with somebody. They're like, you remember when you're a kid, look at me when I'm talking to you. So, and then another good one is head nodding. And, I did a little research, and, people in the medical field are really faced with cultural competence and needing to have it a lot. And I found something that was really interesting, that in some cultures, a head nod just means that they hear you, that they're accepting what you're saying because they're hearing it. It doesn't mean they actually agree with you. So it would be wise to get a verbal from them as well, like say, do you agree, and get them to give you an actual yes. And of course, that's assuming they can speak the language well enough to communicate that. So those are just a couple examples, and I'm sure you can all think of several more. So, feel free to chime in. And I just want to check now, does anybody have any questions or anything they want to add? Okay, why don't you flip this over? We're going to go ahead and move on. So, also cross-cultural relations. This is where developing and maintaining cross-cultural relations are so important in helping to gain knowledge and improve your interaction with other cultures. This useful skill allows you to work effectively with other cultures, to become aware of your own cultural limitations, to facilitate openness, respect, and appreciation for cultural differences, helps you respond to others with understanding, help provide social support to those in need. That's a big one. To lower apprehension and anxiety in people, build friendships, ease cultural differences. And that's just a few. So I'd really like to give you an example now. I've listed a couple at the bottom, but I'm just going to go ahead and give you one of them. You can read the rest on your own. So we have these new neighbors. They're from Pakistan. We had a little bit of a dispute on where the boundary line between the properties were. Turns out it was right where we thought it was, and right kind of where the deed was. Or let's just say that was what was agreed upon. A little complicated. So we agreed upon that, and I'm not sure that was communicated properly, and so they keep going over to the original marker where they think is their land still, and you can tell they're speaking and talking of what they're going to do with this piece of property, and we're like, this is going to be bad. And so we decided what we should do is wait for some of the younger generation who we know probably speak English a little more fluently, and really address it there. And say, so we went over and we said, hey, listen, I know your dad, he probably does not understand English the way you do. So this is what happened. And we brought paperwork so we could show him, and he understood. And so I think it helped clear things up, because they want to get along just as much as we do. So, I mean, we all have to live together. So I think that was a really good example of, really taking the time to be patient and make an effort first to communicate well with them. So I had everybody do a little exercise before we came today. I sent you all an email. I trust you got it. It was 2 exercises that I asked you to do. I asked you all to do an autobiography, pick a culture. I gave you a little instruction. A couple of you emailed me looking for a little more guidance on that. So I'm hoping everybody completed it. I didn't hear from everyone. So just create a little autobiography of yourself about picking the culture, and we're going to discuss that a little bit, but I'm hoping that you all learned quite a bit about what biases that you might carry. When you go ahead and define your own culture, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Imagine how somebody else describes themselves and how you thought about them versus how they think. Now put yourself also in another culture. You go to another country on your own and see how you survive, So what would you do? Would you look for cues and try to conform to what everyone else is doing? Or would you say, I'm American, that's what I do. I'm going to do my thing, and this is it. So it was really, really kind of a fun exercise, actually. And then the second exercise that I had you do, I think a couple of you had already talked to me about, and we're going to discuss that at the end. So what a useful tool to write down what you know about a culture, research it, check it out, compare the two. Boom, put them together. What did you come up with? How wrong were you? Maybe you were right. Maybe you actually knew some stuff. I tried to encourage everybody to pick something that they really didn't know anything about or not know much. Fact, just maybe hearsay and experiences interacting, because that's what happened to me when I did the exercise first. So I hope you all learned a lot about cultural competence from all of the exercises and from anything that we've gone over here today. In conclusion, I'd just like to add that all of this cultural understanding and consideration will be very instrumental to the partnership between us and Society of New Americans. So by educating ourselves and learning awareness and tolerance for the difference of other cultures, we can better serve the immigrants and the resettled refugees we're assisting. By working together and utilizing these tools provided, we can all foster productive, cohesive relationships. I think we can all agree on that. I hope I've explained everything. If I haven't, again, just see me after here. We're going to have a little open discussion after. I know a couple of you had some experiences that you wanted to share. This just can't stress enough what a useful tool that cultural competence is, and how the reflection and the awareness of yourself and what you learn, can just continually make you culturally competent. And I do have a suggestion. I talked to Greg about it. We haven't nailed it down, but I think that it might benefit all of us to meet up once a month. and maybe share experiences. It could be fun, and it could help educate us. You know, pick a different culture every month, and it will help us all learn maybe some things that we didn't know, and help us go forward helping that same culture that someone has some new information for us for. So I hope you found this training useful. I hope you're able to apply these skills and the knowledge today, and that we can keep growing and learning, and that, you know, this partnership turns out to be everything that we all wanted it to be. So thank you for joining me today, and see me after this and we can discuss some more. So thank you.